Good morning. Today is Wednesday, April the 29th, and we are starting chapter 11 today. I'll get to that more in just a moment, but I did want to go over a couple of things with you guys. Do not forget that your test, let's go to your calendar first. So this is our calendar. So we're starting chapter 11. Remember, your test 5 review closes tomorrow evening at 11:59 p.m. And that review does add bonus points to you for your test 5. Your test 5 closes Friday the 1st at 11:59 p.m. So make sure that you're getting that test 5 done. It's the last test for this class before we go to the final exam. So today we're starting chapter 11. So you would have done the chapter 11 concept overview last night. And then the first homework will be due next Sunday, or this coming up Sunday. And then we'll move on to the second half of chapter 11 on Monday the 4th. Homework part 2 is due on Tuesday. Then chapter 12 is super short. We'll do that on Wednesday the 6th. The chapter 12 homework is due on Friday. Then don't forget your project. Make sure you're working on that project. It is due on May the 10th. We'll have our final exam review day. The final exam closes at 11:59 p.m. on Tuesday the 12th, and then you will take the final exam, and it is due by 11:59 p.m. on Wednesday the 13th. I've posted information about the final exam in introduction videos. If you go to the transition folder, you'll see that all of these folders are now open. So, for example, this week on the 11th, it tells you what you should complete. We do have a live class, your attendance assignment, and then this introduction video as well, and that should tell you more about the final exam. The final exam folder is open as well, so you'll see the link to the review and the exam itself, and it is a comprehensive final of all 11 chapters that we have covered this semester. Remember, we skipped chapter 9. For this week, like I said, you did the test 5 review for Monday. So that was what you were working on for Monday. And then today, we are moving on to chapter 11. So for class today, make sure that you're watching those lecture videos for 11:1 through 11:3. Watching this live class if you're not attending it. The chapter 11 day 1 packet will be found under lessons, chapter 11 additional resources class packet, once I post it, and that should be posted shortly after class. And then there is the attendance assignment. Please make sure to complete this attendance assignment, as you will not be counted present if you do not do this attendance assignment, and the link is right here below the introduction video for today. So please make sure to get that done. If you're in the chapter 11 folder, you'll see the lecture videos are posted, and lecture videos for chapter 12 are posted as well. Remember, all assignments with the exception of the final exam should be open now for you to work on, so feel free to work ahead. Just make sure that you're coming back to the transition folder to complete the attendance assignment each class when it opens up. Also, there are 2 additional assignments posted here. The first is a course evaluation survey. If you go to waketech.edu, let's see, I'll just show you. If you go to waketech.edu, go to logins, My Wake Tech, log in with your account. Don't put the @mywaketech.edu in your password. Here at the top, it says you have a course evaluation to complete. Complete your course evaluation. And you click this link, and it will take you to the list of all the classes that you are taking this semester and have you do the course evaluation on the course. It's completely anonymous. I don't know who does it. I don't know who doesn't do it. They don't even release the survey results until after final grades are submitted, so it can't have any effect on your grade. So please go in and log in, choose our class, and add comments. And I like reading those. Think back to when we met in a seated, setting, things that you like, things that you would like improved upon, so I can help make this class better when we return to a seated format. After you complete the survey, they email you a confirmation, and this confirmation is a confirmation number. All I want you to do is click on this link, and then down here, copy that confirmation number and hit submit. That way I know you've completed it, and I won't keep hounding you with emails asking you to do it. It's not for a grade, it's just my way of tracking who's done it so that I don't email you and ask you to do it if you've already done it. The second here is this grade confirmation. I want you to go in and compare your Connect grades to your Blackboard grades to make sure that everything has transferred over correctly. Make sure that for the test, I've given you the proper number of extra points, and make sure I've added them to your test score correctly. If not, let me know. You'll go through to this link here for grade confirmation and either copy all grades are entered and confirmed accurate through test 4, or grades are not entered or accurate. Please review the following assignments and tell me which assignments you have questions on. Now, for this class, there is a writing assignment for Chapter 7 that I have not yet gotten graded, and I should be getting it done today. If you don't have a grade, that should show up today, so don't be worried about that one not showing. But please do get both of these things done so that I don't hound you with emails asking you to complete them. The survey is due by Friday, May 8th, and the grade confirmation is due by Tuesday, May 12th. That way, your grades are confirmed before your final exam is due. Let's see. So make sure you get registered for summer classes if you haven't done so. And you have questions, let me know. We've got some great courses being offered this summer. You know, taking even just one can get you a little bit of a jump start on your degree. So get registered for summer and fall. Fall is open now too. So go ahead and get your plan out for fall and get registered for it before those sections fill up. Let's see. So today, like I said, we're doing chapter 11. I do want to go to the PowerPoint slides and point out a couple of things to you, specifically outside of the videos. And all of these are in the videos. But the thing that you're going to struggle the most with in this class, in this chapter, is the operating activities section of the statement of cash flows. And it's okay. Trust me, I still struggled with the statement of cash flows when I was preparing these at my last job. I would have to Google, now, gain on sale, do I add that back or do I subtract that? How do I handle each of these? So don't stress. I pointed out some key slides in my videos of things you might want to print out and keep handy. This is one of them. This is the summary of adjustments to net income for the operating activity section. So it tells you that you start with net income from the income statement, and then you're making adjustments to reconcile net income to net cash flows. And you start with your non-cash items, because depreciation, amortization, losses and gains, those were not actual cash amounts on the income statement. These were non-cash expenses that you took. So they lowered your net income originally. So you need to add them back to bring your net income back up to adjust for that cash flow that didn't happen. Your loss and sale on assets, those are based off of not the cash amount, but the cash that you got compared to the adjusted basis of the asset. So I think in the example, let's see right here, they sold land that cost $10,000 for only $6,000. So on the income statement, there was a $4,000 loss. So that $4,000 loss has nothing to do with the amount of cash that they received. They received $6,000 in cash. So in this operating activity section, we need to add back the loss because that $4,000 is not a cash item. What we're doing is adjusting for cash items on the statement of cash flows. The opposite would be true for a gain. If you had recorded a gain, you need to subtract it because it would have artificially inflated net income. Now, the one that you're going to struggle the most with is current assets. And I will tell you now that if you simply memorize that an increase in a current asset is a subtraction and a decrease in a current asset is an addition, then that is fine for me. I say that because that's what I did. I memorized this right here, and didn't truly and fully understand the reasoning behind it until I actually started teaching this class. So if you just want to memorize it, then that works. But to actually understand the reasoning for this right here, I want to show you an example in the book. And I discussed it a little bit in my video. But talking about accounts receivable. On the income statement, eGames had sales revenue of $1,012,000. But that doesn't mean that they collected that entire amount in cash because of things like accounts receivable. When we look at accounts receivable from the prior year to the current year, we see accounts receivable increased $7,000. It went from $20,000 in the prior year to $27,000 in the current year. So that tells us that the company didn't collect all of the cash for sales revenue because customers owe the company $7,000 more than before. So if we had sales revenue on our income statement reported at $1,012,000, our accounts receivable increased. So think about that journal entry. We would have recorded a debit to accounts receivable and a credit to sales revenue. Cash was not involved. So our cash inflow wasn't as high. So the $7,000 increase represents sales that were not actual cash amounts. So to adjust net income for cash flows, we have to subtract the $7,000 increase. If you work a few of these, you'll get the hang of it, but this is a great example. This where it talks about the changes in current assets and current liabilities. In the book, if you have a hard copy book, that is discussed on page 549. So I definitely encourage you to definitely read back over this so that you can understand this change in accounts receivable and current assets. And this applies to all current assets. So increases are subtracted, decreases are added. And then for current liabilities, the increase is added and the decrease is subtracted. So bookmark this, save this, print this. This illustration is on page 547 in the book, if you have the hard book. But through class today, we only are worried about this operating activities section. We see the big format here, and see operating has the most activity in it. So I want you to focus for class today, and your homework, you'll see that, is going to be in this portion of the statement of cash flows. We'll cover the other ones later, Monday. But this is the hardest part, and so that's what we're going to focus on today. I do want to look at a couple of quick examples to walk through with you on this. So I don't have my board up. Okay, we'll figure it out. So in 11.4, we see that Laser World reports net income of $650,000. Depreciation expense is $50,000. Accounts receivable increases by $11,000 and accounts payable decreases by $30,000. Calculate net cash flows from operating activities using the indirect method. So this is a very straightforward example of calculating net cash flows. So I am going to just do this really fast. And this isn't the proper format, but I just want to show you. So if we had net income of $650,000, it tells us that we had depreciation expense if I can spell today. Of $50,000. So that depreciation expense lowered our net income, but it was not an actual cash amount. So we need to add the $50,000 back to net income. It didn't actually result in a cash inflow or outflow. So we need to adjust net income back up for the depreciation expense. AR increased $11,000. So accounts receivable is a current asset. A current asset that increases is a subtraction because we recorded more sales in our net income than we did receive cash for. So we need to subtract the $11,000. Lastly, we had an accounts payable decrease. So our accounts payable decreased $30,000, so we need to subtract $30,000. And think of it with that one like you paid off more accounts payable that you didn't have an expense for. So when you bought things on account, you would have debited the expense and credited the payable. But then when you paid off the payable, you paid off more than you had in the prior year. So you used up cash, but there's no expense for that on the net income side. So we need to decrease net income for that amount. So our net cash flows is the sum of all of these numbers. 659. Look at the next one. Microsoft company reports a net income of $75,000. The accounting records reveal that depreciation expense was $90,000, as well as increases in prepaid rent, accounts payable, and income tax payable of $70,000, $10,000, and $23,000 respectively. So the first one we can do is depreciation. That's pretty easy. Remember, depreciation expense is always an add back. So we add our $90,000 back. Next, we had an increase in prepaid rent. Prepaid rent is a current asset. An increase in a current asset is a subtraction in the amount of $70,000. Next, we had an increase in accounts payable. Accounts payable is a current liability, and an increase in a current liability is an add back of $10,000. Lastly, we had an increase in taxes payable. So I'm going to put just for space wise. Again, income tax payable is a current liability. Current liability increased, so we need to add back the $23,000. So our net cash flows are $128,000. Like I said, this isn't formatted correctly. You would format these as if it was the actual statement of cash flows like this. You would have your 3-line header, your cash flows from operating activities, net income, adjustments to reconcile net income to cash flows, list the items, and so forth. So if you were doing it properly, it would look like this section. And so I'm going to work on the packet and get that posted shortly. And it'll only be through Learning Objective 3. So you'll get some hands-on practice on preparing this operating activity section as well as in the homework. Does anybody have any questions about statement of cash flows? Feel free to type it in the chat or unmute yourself or ask me questions. I know this can be a tough subject, and I really wish that we were meeting face-to-face to learn this chapter because I feel like this is one of the harder chapters, but you guys can do it. I know you can. No questions? Thank you. All right. Well, have a great weekend. Our let's see, next live class is next Wednesday, and we'll talk about the second half of chapter 11 and a little bit of chapter 12. We're almost done with the semester. You guys are doing great, so keep up the good work. I'm proud of you guys.